everyone, my name is Jennifer Maker, founder of jennifermaker.com and your coach for the Cricut Kickoff. Welcome to the third lesson of Cricut Kickoff, Dive into Design Space. This is a live class and everyone is welcome to watch and learn. I'll be showing you around the Cricut Design Space app for iOS, which means the iPad and the iPhone, and then answering all of your questions. Now, before we begin, just a few reminders. If you're having any video or audio issues, you may need to move closer to your internet, close some tabs, or even restart your browser or device. You may find it helpful to turn on closed captioning when it's available with the gear icon. It's usually down in the corner or somewhere on the screen here. The way today's lesson will work is that I'm going to tell you all about Cricut Design Space for iOS, the iPad, and the iPhone. Talk about the differences between Cricut Design Space and Cricut Access, and show you the primary functions and where to find them on the iOS app, and then teach you how to upload a cut file. Then together we will prepare the file for cutting, including customizing it for you, and then we'll cut it out together. For this class, you'll need the Cricut Design Space app already installed. We did this in lesson 1 of Cricut Kickoff. A clean green or blue sticky machine mat, like this, a Cricut pen, and 2 pieces of cardstock, any weight, pretty much any size. This is a great way to use some scrap. You are welcome to share this video with someone that you think could benefit from it. Click the share button or just tag them here in the chat if you're on Facebook, and be sure to tell them why you think that they'd like it too. Or you can send them over to CricutKickoff.com. And don't forget that I have this awesome free and updated handbook that goes along with the Cricut Kickoff classes. You can get it by registering for the class free at CricutKickoff.com. I think that's the link. There it is. If for any reason that link doesn't work for you, you can go to makeracademy.com/CricutKickoff. The handbook will be emailed to you, but if you have any issues getting your email, there's also a link to it on the confirmation screen. And by the way, I want to note that I have updated this. I guess I got to show you. I'm sorry while we're waiting. And everybody, thank you. This is live. If anyone is curious, it is Sunday afternoon. We are totally live. And I see lots of people here. Thank you for joining me. And let me just show you a specific reason why you want to get this handbook, okay? So it's on page 24. There's actually a table of contents. There's a lot of really awesome things in here, but I just updated this section a couple days ago, and this is significant. So these maps are updated. This is for desktop, which we're doing at 5 p.m. this evening. So if you also use a computer or desktop, you'll want to get the desktop, right? You'll want to watch the 5 p.m. session. But this here, this is the iOS map. This shows everything, and I've labeled everything for you. This is a great thing to print out and keep next to you while you're learning to use the software, okay? And everything's labeled. There's even like some little things down here to all the menus and stuff like that. So definitely get this right. Oh. I'm trying to find the link on my screen. Right there is where you'll find the link to get this handbook. Who's got it? Also, it's awesome to see you guys here. Hi, Karen and Pamela and Alicia and Joe. And I also need to apologize for my coughing. I am recovering from COVID, and I have a lingering cough that will not go away. I have tea. Greg got me tea, but you can expect a lot of coughing. I apologize in advance. I've been hoping it would go away in time for class, but it has not. Hi, Carol and Yvonne and Nina and Sonia. So you guys have got the handbook because I'll probably refer to it as we go along in class today. While I'm teaching the class, I will stay focused on the class, and I'm going to try to avoid answering questions so we minimize distractions. But once I've introduced you to Cricut Design Space for iPad and iPhone, and we've finished our first project together, I will answer questions. So stay to the end, ask me questions. So thank you in advance for your patience during the instructions segment of our class. And I also want to remind everyone that this is a live video and things can and do go wrong. You can expect them to go wrong, especially with technology. But we will fix it together if they do, and I appreciate your patience in advance. So I believe we are ready to get started for our class. So I'm going to play our little intro again because I like to edit this down. And let's get started with Cricut Kickoff Lesson 3 for iPad and iPhone. Hello everyone, my name is Jennifer Maker, and today I'm teaching you all about Cricut Design Space for the iPhone and the iPad using the most recent version with all the new features. This is my Cricut Kickoff Lesson 3, and we're going to go over the primary functions of Cricut Design Space together so you feel more comfortable in the app on your iPad or iPhone, and then we will create something fun together. Now in Cricut Kickoff Lesson 1, we downloaded and installed the free Cricut Design Space app from the App Store. We created a Cricut ID or signed in with the one that we had, and we did our test cut. If you haven't seen that video, you still can. In Cricut Kickoff Lesson 2, we looked at all of the materials, supplies, and tools that you can use with your Cricut, and we looked at all the Cricuts. Today we're going to dive into Design Space itself to see how it works. Now, before we get too far, I want to remind you about my free Cricut Kickoff Printable Handbook that goes along with these lessons. There are handy Design Space maps in there that you'll find really useful. I just updated it, and so they're all up to date with the latest versions of the software at the time of making this video, of course. There are also cheat sheets in there as well as directions for today's project. You can download it right now at CricutKickoff.com. Just register for the class free and you will get the handbook. I'll be referring to it as we go along during today's lesson 2. So I think it's really valuable. There's 52 pages. It's awesome. So please pull up a chair in my studio and let's get started. And I have my iPad, my iPhone, and everything here with me. So first, let's talk about Design Space. In fact, I am going to show you everything. You don't need to look at my face while we do this. I'm going to show you my iPad and my screen. So let's switch over to this view. There we go. Now you can see everything. So here is my iPad. This is my screen. You can see my keyboard, and I'll tilt my screen a little bit here too, like this. So now you can see what I'm touching, because it can be confusing, like what exactly is she touching? What is she doing? So you can see my screen, you can see my iPad screen. We're going to cut today's project on the Cricut, so I have Cricut Joy, so I have my Cricut Joy out, but just know that this actually applies to all the Cricuts. I'll be doing the Cricut Maker 3 in our other class, and then you can see me if you want to. All right, again, forgive the coughing. I'm going to take another drink of tea. Okay, so what is Cricut Design Space? Cricut Design Space is the free companion app to your Cricut cutting machine. Design Space, or DS as some people call it, lets you design and cut with your Cricut. You can create projects from scratch, use one of Cricut's images, or upload images. And again, this is free software. So even if you don't currently have a Cricut, you can download this software free and play around with it first. We did all that in Lesson 1 of Cricut Kickoff. And I do want to note that I'm specifically using the Design Space app, which works with the Cricut Joy, the Explorers, and Makers. As you can see, I've got them all out today. There is another app called Cricut Joy, which is just for the Joy. I am not teaching the Cricut Joy app today. Just know that regardless of whether you have a Cricut Joy, Explorer, or Maker, the Cricut Design Space app that we're going over today will work for your Cricut, okay? So let's go ahead and go into the Cricut Design Space app on my iPad so you can see what it looks like. The app on the iPhone and iPad is the same, by the way. There's just a little more screen space on the iPad, but the functions and buttons are all in the same place. So I'm going to show you the iPad because it's a little easier. And I'm going to show you both my iPad you can see it here, as well as my actual screen, so you can see where I'm tapping or touching. I have the keyboard on my iPad, but you might not. I'll also pull up the keyboard for you. All right, so let's begin by clicking on the Design Space icon right here. And this brings us to the home screen of Cricut Design Space on the app on the iPad. And if you've used this before, but haven't used it in the last couple of months, it may look a little different to you. So that's a big reason why I am doing this class today. Things have changed a little bit, and I want you to know about them. If you're brand new to Cricut Design Space, then everything is new and you're a blank slate, which is awesome. All right, so I'm going to use my little weeding tool to kind of point at things on my screen. So hopefully that helps you see things too. All right, so here we are on the home screen, and there's several important things here that I want to point out, and I'm going to use my mouse because you can see my little pointer, right? So you can see this little circle. I want to be actually absolutely sure that you can see this. So let me know in the chat if you can see this little gray circle moving around. It should only show up when I'm using my mouse, not my finger, see? So that's one of the reasons I'm using my keyboard. Let me know in the chat if you can see it, because I don't want to refer to it if it turns out you can't see it. Yes, thank you, Joe. I appreciate it. Okay. All right, so here we are on the home screen of Cricut Design Space, the app. And up here in the corner, we have what I call the hamburger menu, which is this right here, this 3-line thing. It's kind of like a hamburger. Bun, meat, bun on the bottom, okay. And then we have our search bar right here where we can search our projects. So we can search everything across Cricut Design Space here. And here on the page itself, I'm just going to scroll through, we have projects of various sorts, all sorts of things here, right? This screen goes down quite a bit. This down here at the bottom is the Cricut community projects. My projects will show up there once in a while. And then in the upper left or upper right corner, we have the ability to go to the canvas. So let's start with the settings menu, which is this menu right here. So in here, and I'll go through these things quickly just so you have an idea. First, we can change our machine right at the top here. So I actually have all 5 of these machines. Most of them are connected to this one iPad right now. If you've ever wondered if you can have more than one machine, you absolutely can. I have my Joy connected right now, and I'll be demonstrating with that, but you can connect all of your Cricuts, whatever model you have, to your Cricut Design Space app. And then you have machine setup. So in Cricut Kickoff Lesson 1, we went through the whole setup of all of the machines and all of the devices. If you get another Cricut, you can actually just come right in here and set it up right here. And actually, you don't even have to do that. You can really just turn on Bluetooth, connect it to Bluetooth on your iPad or your iPhone, and then just come back here and select it right here under machine selection. Just so you know, a little tip for you. If you don't want to go through that whole setup thing and cut everything out, you can just add them all because I have, trust me. All right, so back up here, we have Cricut Access. I'm going to tell you about Cricut Access a little later when we get to that point. Print then cut settings. The Cricut Joy doesn't do print then cut. The other machines do. So if you've got one of the other ones, you can do your settings there. Load type settings actually lets you set some defaults. So the defaults for your different machines and how you're going to load them. So whatever your preferences are, you can do that there. That's useful. And let's go back here. Custom material settings. We'll talk about material settings a little bit later, but you have the ability with all of the Cricuts to create custom settings, little extra pressure, little more cutting, extra cutting, that kind of thing. Help and feedback. So if you need help, this will take you there. And to send feedback, when you want a new feature, you don't like a feature, you can let Cricut know right there. And the About section tells you what version. So I'm working with version 5.11 today, and all the other stuff. What's new is significant because what's new will tell you what is new since the last time you used it. I think this is really useful if you are just an occasional crafter and you come in and you're like, oh my gosh, things look a little different to me. Head to the what's new section, find out what's going on, okay? So that you're not confused by that. And then next, your account. This will actually take you to your account in a browser, and then you can sign out. So this is and you can see your profile up here. Here is my profile. You can follow people now. Did you know that? That's actually a new thing. Excuse me. You can follow people in Cricut Design Space. You should come follow me because I release projects here and you'll get notified about them. So you can see here that I have some projects. These are all free things that you can do and make, and I often have tutorials for them and all sorts of things. To follow someone, you can, well, I don't know if it'll work on them, and I haven't tried it out. But let's do a search for Jennifer Maker. And let's scroll here. It should, see, I don't see it coming up. You should be able to search for me, but I don't see it. So instead, you're going to need a link. And I don't have a link for you. So, but I put a link in my Facebook group if you really want to follow me. So you'll have to find a project of mine or something to follow me. That's how you would do that. So I don't know if there's some other way on the iPad other than a direct link. Okay. So that's the settings menu. Now, I want to show you the search. Let's go back to search. Let's search for something else. Let's search for an explosion box. Let's see what happens. So this should let you search all of the projects in Cricut Design Space. And there we go. Was it searching? There we go. There's a bunch of different boxes. I think it's searching for boxes, not just explosion boxes. But I want to call your attention to the filter menu right here. So the filter lets you just hone in on certain things. So there's lots of categories here. Okay, so you can change it. You can look just for things in the Cricut community. Let's tap on that and see what we get. Lots of awesome explosion boxes. Look at all those cool things. Actually, it's just a lot of boxes. I see a lot of boxes. Mine is probably in here somewhere. So that might be a way to find me because I have an endless explosion box in here. Oh, if someone has the link to my profile, you should share it in chat so others can follow. That's what you should do. Okay. All right. Anyways, so back to the home screen. Now at the bottom of the screen right here, we have the home. We are on home right now. Okay. This is what home looks like. And then we have this green button with a plus in it. This actually stopped me the first time I saw it. I'm like, is that for like adding images? What do I do with that? That's actually how you start a new project. Okay, so we'll do that in a minute. And then to find your projects, you click on My Projects right here. And that will take you to your projects. You can see all of my crazy things in here. And this is everything. This is all of my stuff. Also Alexa's and Greg's stuff too. Lots of things in here, but it's your projects. And this is my projects in the cloud. And if I tap on here, I can see other things that I have nothing saved specifically to this iPad, so it should be empty. Indeed it is. It's a fairly new iPad. Bookmarks, ready to make projects, everything here. So if you're ever looking for your projects, the button is right down here for you to find. All right, so let's go back to the home page. There we go. All right, so let's dive into the canvas itself. So there's two ways to get there. One is by tapping the canvas in the upper right-hand corner, or we can tap that new project screen. I'm going to go ahead and tap new project right now. There we go. So this is the Cricut Design Space canvas. And on the canvas, we design things. This is where all of our projects are customized, personalized, resized, recolored. We add things, we take away the things before we actually send them to our Cricut. So on the Cricut Design Space app for iPad and iPhone, we have mostly, we'll find all of our controls along the bottom here. So right along here. And we have menus and we have submenus. Okay. So down here at the bottom, I'm going to start and go across the bottom. We have images. Images, let's click on that right now so you can see. It defaults to our uploaded images. So these are things I've uploaded recently. But if we tap on filters in the upper right corner here, we can see everything. So I'm going to click on clear, and that clears out the filters. And now if we go back, and this is the back button right here in the upper right left corner, this shows us everything, all 245, 202 images on the day and hour that I'm recording this video. There's a lot of images. Now, I want you to look at these and note some things about them. So in the upper right corner, so let's look at this picture of, the corgi or the dog, or not even a dog with a party hat on. So it's right up here in the upper corner right here. So you'll notice that there is a little green flag with an A in it. That indicates that that is a Cricut Access image. So if you have Cricut Access, then you can use it, and it's included. It's included. So I'm going to talk about that a little later. And below it says subscribed. If you're subscribed, if you're not, then you can purchase things, right? And then this little, oops, let me go over here. This thing lets you bookmark something so you can have favorites. So that's a little bookmark icon, just like that. And again, you can filter everything. I lost my mouse. There it is. Right here. So one of the nice things that we can do is filter for free images. So I'm going to tap on free, and then we go back, and we can see all 3,075 free things. So lots and lots of free things in here. Now, free items do change. So if you find something for free that you want to use, I recommend you cut it out right away, because next week it may not be. It may still be free, but you just don't know, right? So there are some things that stay free that have always been free, and there's some things that aren't. So it just depends. All right, so let's close that. Now down here at the bottom where it says phrases, this is actually a sub-library of all the phrases in Cricut Access. So if you just want to search for all the cute words and things to say, you can just search for that. So it's sort of just an easy way to get to that. Text, I'm actually going to show you text, so I'm not going to click on that one right now. Shapes, on the other hand, let's go ahead and click on shapes. So shapes brings up a submenu of shapes. So here we have free shapes at the top. And if you scroll down, you'll find shapes that are included with the Cricut Access subscription. So there's a lot of them. And maybe this is a good time for us to talk about Cricut Access. So that because I'm talking about it and I'm not like really explaining what it is. So Cricut Access is different than Cricut Design Space. It's sort of a subcategory of Cricut Design Space. Cricut Design Space is free, and Cricut Access is a subscription plan that allows unlimited use of over 240,000 of Cricut's graphics and fonts and ready-to-cut Cricut projects. Access subscribers also get discounts on Cricut.com purchases, a priority member care line to contact, special offers on products reserved just for Cricut Access subscribers, like Cricut mystery boxes. It is an optional subscription plan that provides benefits and access to the images, fonts, and projects for free and licensed designs at a discounted price. A lot of people confuse Cricut Access with Cricut Design Space, and they are not the same. Cricut Design Space is the free software, and everything up here is free right here, that you use to create or upload designs and cut them on your Cricut. All Cricut Explorer family, Maker family, and Joy users need to download and use the free Cricut Design Space software, but they do not need to pay for Cricut Access unless they want to. Most people ask me if I think Cricut Access is worth it, and I think it is if you're going to use it. I am a Cricut Access subscriber. I pay for it. Cricut doesn't give it to me. So basically, the benefits are that you get access, or you get with Access are the images, plus new images are added weekly, over 1,000 fonts, including writing fonts. This is reason alone enough for me. If you ever buy images or fonts from Design Space, an Access subscription typically pays for itself very quickly. You'll also get faster member support, like twice as fast, because you get priority support over those who don't have Access. And there's a 10% savings on all Cricut.com product purchases. That includes machines, accessories, materials, and more, including sale items. So there's a lot about Cricut Access that's awesome. So for example, all these shapes down here, those are all included with Access, along with all of those things that we saw over in images, okay? And if you like Cricut mystery boxes with the Cricut cuties, that's gonna be your Cricut Access. If you want to learn more about Cricut Access, go to jennifermaker.com/Cricut Access to see the list of all the features and answers to all the questions that I get. Now, I have Cricut Access, and that means I have access to images and fonts that you may not. So as we're looking at things, if you see things in here and you're like, oh my gosh, how does she have that? That's because I have Cricut Access, as you can see here, right? So that green flag in the corner indicates it's a Cricut Access item. So if you don't have access and you're looking at it, you'll probably see a price. And if you don't, and you see the word subscribe, that means it's included with Cricut Access, okay? So that you understand how that works. All right. So shapes, let's go back to shapes. So let's focus on free stuff, because this is not some sort of infomercial to sell you on Cricut Access. Some people love it, some people don't need it. You do what's right for you. So, but from here on out, we're talking about free stuff, okay? So let's go ahead and put a shape onto our canvas. I'm going to put a heart onto there. To put a shape on it, you just tap on it and it appears on your canvas like this. And chances are most of you know how to use an iPad, but if not, you zoom in by touching on the screen with your fingers, and you spread your fingers apart like this to zoom in. You can also move on your screen like this, okay? So here we have a heart. Now, what can we do with this heart? First of all, we can select it. So me tapping on it like this is selecting it. And I want you to note this box that appears around it. This is called a bounding box. And a bounding box allows us to resize, and we do that by tapping, holding, and dragging on a corner. Actually, I should be able to do it with my mouse so you can watch me like this. So, and I can do it from any of the four corners like this. You can resize just like that. So that is how you resize, right? Now, if you want to resize, well, actually, I'll go in the order, because this has a recent change. It used to be that the icons in the corners would allow you to do things like resize. There was one up here that did rotate. There's one up here that did delete. Again, I'm going from memory here, and then down here it was lock. So these are now missing. So this is a source of confusion for some people. All of those functions are all still there, okay? So this is resize right here, just like this, and from any corner. To rotate, we use this icon right here at the bottom. We click on that and we can rotate now, okay? You can also resize and rotate from the edit menu. I'm going to tap on the edit menu. Down here at the bottom, you can see the options to change the size right here. So if we tap on those, we can bring up little menus that let us put in the size, and we can rotate here. So if I want to rotate this 90 degrees, I guess I can tap on that. It's rotated 90 degrees, right? And we can undo everything. I'm going to tap on undo to go back. All right, so resizing and rotating. Now, how about deleting? Deleting is very simple. In the edit, we want to go to the layers panel to do that. So the layers panel is down right here, and there's a delete button right here. So that's where delete is. If you're curious about that, let's undo that. And then the big one, I think that's confusing for a lot of people, is the lock icon, because it used to be right here in the corner. We can still lock and unlock things, and we do that by going to the edit menu at the bottom, and we tap on this lock icon right here. So right now it's locked. You can see the icon that says lock. So let's tap on it. It's now unlocked. So what that means is that the proportions of the layer are no longer locked. So when we resize it, we can get a short, chunky heart or a tall, skinny heart or whatever, right? So now it's like whatever size we want, okay? And let's just undo that, and then we can go back and we can lock it again. And now when we resize it, and I'll pick a different corner this time, you can see that where it maintains its proportions. So if you were missing those icons, that's where they are. If you've never seen those icons, then you don't have to worry about that. All right, so we can do a lot of things with these icons at the bottom. So under actions, we can duplicate. We can just tap right on duplicate. There we go. So now we have two hearts, and we can then, we have options at the bottom to do things like they're all currently grayed out right now. I want you to note that. So you see group, ungroup, attach. Here we go. do this properly. Group, ungroup, attach, detach, weld, slice, flatten, unflatten, advanced, and contour. It's a lot of buttons. If you're brand new to Cricut Design Space, you're like, what do I do with all this stuff? So let's just do a really quick tutorial on how those things work. Group is an organizational thing to help you keep things together when you're working with a design. So we can group these two hearts together. Right now they're individual, and if I tap and drag on them, they move independently. But if I select both and I'm just clicking and dragging a box around them to select both of them, and you can tell that I've selected both of them because over here in the layers panel, they're now like a light gray instead of white. Okay, so they're both selected, and now you'll notice down at the bottom that we have some options. So let's tap on group. Now they're grouped together. It says so right here in the layers panel, and now when I move them, they move together. They're still separate in individuals, layers. They'll still cut out as two independent hearts, but for the purposes of designing things, they're kind of bunched together. All right, let's undo that. We could also have ungrouped. I just undid it. See, there's an ungroup option right there. Let's just do that. Ungroup, there we go. So we can also attach them. So let's go ahead and attach them. Now it looks similar, but attach will actually, it keeps the two layers independent. So you can see that they're still independent over here. But when you send it to cut on your Cricut, they will cut in the exact relation to one another. So what we would get is we would get this beautiful heart right here, and then we would get this kind of funky shape over here. So it would be like a heart puzzle piece. So that's attach. So we can click detach here, and now we can also weld. So weld means to stick them together permanently and create a brand new shape. So I'm going to tap on weld so you can see. There we go. If you noticed, you'll see we no longer see that the other curve of the other heart. This is now a brand new shape. It is just one layer, and it's called a welded image now. So this is how you can create new shapes. I love to make new shapes. It is super fun. All right, so you cannot unweld things. There's no unweld button. So if you want to unweld, you really need to undo until you're back to where you were. There we go. So you saw that, the little line show up there again. So that's important to note, right? So you can unweld if you just undo right away. If, however, you go into the future, 50 steps down the road, and you're like, oh, I really want that unwelded, you'd have to undo all the way back, which you can do, but then you have to redo all your other work. Okay. All right, so let's select these two hearts again. And the other option that people often get confused about is slice, which we see right here. So slice does what it says it does. It slices one layer out of another. It only works with two layers. I only have two layers selected, so that makes it easy. Let's tap on slice right here. And so what we get when we slice is we get a bunch of funky shapes. It depends on what you do. In this case, they're funky. So you can see how it's all been sliced out, right? We should have 4 layers. So that is slice. We use it when we want to remove things or make new shapes, or there's a lot of things that we use slice for. All right, let me undo all that and go right back to our 2 hearts. There we go. All right, so there are advanced options. I'll show you contour a little bit later, but this tutorial is to show you the basics. Okay, so I'm not going to show you everything. We would be here for a very long time. All right, so let's tap on the edit menu. We were in there earlier remember you can do size. So here's the width and height, and you can rotate things. The H position and V position, you can actually change the position on your canvas, in increments if you need to. I rarely use that. We can change the color of things. So let's tap on one of our hearts. Now down here in the bottom left corner where it says basic cut, this is our operation menu and our color picker. The operation menu is how you tell your Cricut what you want it to do. The default is basic cut, right? It's a cutting machine. This makes sense. But there are other options. I'm going to click on that. You can, on the Cricut Joy, you can also draw with a pen, and you can create guidelines for helping you design things. If, however, we were on the Cricut Maker or on the Cricut Explorer or Maker, we would have other options like scoring and foiling. Actually, foiling should be an option here. I just don't see it. We would have other things that we can do. So as you move up in size with your Cricut, you get more operations. But we're on the Joy, so we have the basic operation. So we can cut and we can draw. All right, and then there is the color picker. Let me just show you. It's actually, it seems like the two have been combined into one menu. I still think of it as being just this little dot here. And this dot right here will tell you the color that it's currently on, which is gray, just so you know. But it's really the same menu. They've been combined. So we can change this to be like red, right? And let's click apply. And you can see it changed to red. It's super easy. Let's change this one too. So we'll click here and we'll make it blue. There we go. So changing colors is pretty easy. Just remember that for the most part, the color on your screen is there to help you design things. And the color is really going to be whatever material you put into your Cricut, whatever color pen you use, that kind of thing. So you could have red and blue hearts and actually cut out green and yellow hearts if you use green and yellow paper. Okay. But it does help you design and help you determine colors and things like that. All right, so the Cricut Design Space for iOS also has offset. We didn't have that before. So offset will allow you to put an offset or inset around a shape. Let's tap on that right now. So this can be great, especially like for text or if you're making stickers or anytime that you want an outline, like multiple layers of things. So this is an offset here. You can see the red line around it, and we can change the size of it like this. And we can also have an inset, so it can be smaller like this. So you can do lots of cool things with offset and inset. You can change, there's a bunch of different options here. You can change the corner. It can be rounded or squared. All right. And there it is. We don't need that though. I'm going to tap delete on my, and it didn't work. I didn't know if it would. Let's just go ahead and delete that. Okay, so those are the basic operations, the basic actions and edits of the Cricut Design Space for the iPad. Now, I told you I would show you about contour, so let's do that. So let's go ahead and delete everything. I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. So let's go back to images, and let's tap on filters. And we're going to tap on free. We're going to find a free image, go back. And this is everything that's free when I'm making this video right now. All right, let's select, by the way, you'll notice it says free right on it, so that can be helpful. So I'm going to go ahead and select this artist paint palette and palette. I don't know how to pronounce that word. And then I'm going to tap add, and it's going to show up on my canvas. Make it a little smaller like this. So there's all sorts of awesome images. So this one is made for us. It's one of the definite advantages of using a Cricut. It's got this huge image library. But you can customize images. So in addition to doing things like welding and slicing to create new shapes, you can use a feature called Contour, which is right here in the Actions menu, which we already have open on our screen. And it's called Contour, and I'm going to use my mouse. It's right here. So I'm going to tap on that, and it shows you an outline of your image like this. And I can tap on the lines to hide them. So right now we have the outside of the palette, and then here's the inked paint daubs, and here's the thumb hole, I would think. So let's say we want to get rid of this. So I can tap on it, and you'll notice it changed to a lighter gray color. And now when I go back, it's gone. So you can use the contour feature to do a lot of customizing. And there's all sorts of images. You can get very creative with the images that are already in Cricut Design Space and Cricut Access. All right, so that covers most of the things I wanted to show you, with one big exception, and that is how to upload your own images, because this is what many people do, including myself. So let's delete this, and we are going to do a project together. So let me show you where to find that. So I'm going to just swipe up here and go to Safari. And we're going to go all the way back here. what you're going to want to do, actually put the link here. There we go. You'll want to go to jennifermaker.com/resource library. And to find it, so you can just go to jennifermaker.com. You tap on libraries. If you don't have a password yet, you'll want to tap get a password. It's free. I do not charge for my designs. And then once you have a password, you tap enter library like that. And then on my page, this is where I keep all of my projects. So this is a great thing for you to know about. So like yesterday's project, our exploding butterfly box is right there at the very top. It's in reverse chronological order. So we are looking for design number 277. So everything is in order. So we're just going to go right here. Here it is, Cricut Kickoff Certificate, right here. We're going to make that today. So I'm going to show you how to download on the iPad. So we're going to tap on it, and it asks us if we want it to download it to confirm, and we do. We tap download. And then right up here is an icon with a circle with a down arrow in it. This might change a little bit depending on what version of the iPad or the iOS you have, just so you know. But this has been consistent for a while. It could change next year. You just never know, right? So we tap on this, and this accesses our downloads. You can see I've downloaded it 3 times because I was practicing for our class. So we only need one of those. So I'm going to tap on it, and it takes us to our downloads. So, and I've got everything here organized. Notice that I'm in my downloads folder here, and everything is in list format, just so you know, and it's sorted by name. I find this the easiest way to find things in my folders. And we're looking for the Cricut Kickoff Certificate, which is right here. And if you tap on it, it just decompresses it for you because it's a zip file. But if for any reason it doesn't, if you tap and hold on it, you should get a little menu over to the side, and then you can uncompress it. Decompress, uncompress, same basic idea. And then it should create a folder for you with all of the contents. This is typically how cut files like this are distributed, whether you get them from a designer that shares them for free like me, like on my blog, or if you buy them from Etsy or something like that. So let's tap on a folder, and inside you can see all the things, and we are looking for, and this is important, we're looking for the SVG. It's right here. So we've unzipped it, uncompressed it, and it's ready to go. So now, that's important, now we go back to Cricut Design Space, and we're going to use this upload button right here. This is the last one we haven't talked about. So let's click on upload, and you get a bunch of options. The one that you want is browse files. It will take you to your downloads. Typically, if it doesn't, you can use this back arrow here to go find it. And actually, let's back up a little bit. All right, there's our downloads folder. So we're looking for the Cricut Kickoff folder, which is right here. And thankfully, the iPad knows that or Design Space knows that we can't upload text files or other weird things. It actually knows that we want to upload the SVG. So that's the one that's black, like this right here. Ignore this thing that says upload error. That is referring to my iCloud storage. It has nothing to do with Design Space. It's a little, the first time I saw it, I'm like, what do you mean there was an upload error? I haven't even uploaded it. It's referring to iCloud. So yeah, it's fine. So to upload this to Cricut Design Space, we tap on it like this. Just make sure it's the SVG file, and it gives us a preview of our cut file. We need to give this a name. So I'm going to call this certificate. It will not let you save it. This button will stay gray until you put in a name, and then I'm going to tap save. And then it gets uploaded to the Cricut Design Space cloud, which, by the way, is amazing. So it's on my canvas for me already. It put it on there for me, which is awesome. Very easy to do. The Cricut cloud is free. There's no limits to what you can upload to it. You can upload all of your files to it. It's amazing. It's also, because it's cloud-based, that means that when I use my computer, my laptop, my Android, I can access all of those files that I've uploaded for years. If you were to go back and look at all of my uploaded files, I have the entire history going all the way back to when I got my very first Cricut in February of 2017. It's actually kind of interesting. We're not going to go back and look at that today, though. So this is our certificate file, and I'm going to show you how to personalize this and cut it out with me. All right, so when you bring in any kind of cut file, it's typically grouped together for organizational purposes, I suppose. So you can tell if you tap on it, and everything, it's like one big box. They're not separated. Over in the layers panel, you can see that you've got everything was together, right? If we actually tap on this little arrow, well, look, there we go. It'll look kind of fold up for us. This is a group, okay? So to work with this, we want to ungroup it. So let's go down to the Actions menu, which we already have open, and then we're going to tap on Ungroup. There we go. Now you can see in the Layers panel that we have individual layers for each of our three things. So you should have a yellow card that says everything will say Basic Cut. So a yellow card with some stars in the corners. My signature, also set to Basic Cut, and a slightly larger card that says I did it with a trophy and more stars. This is our certificate, okay? And this is what you're going to make with me. Now, everything that you upload will be set to Basic Cut. This is how it works. So your job is to customize this the way you want, to change the layers from cut to something else if you want to, attach things together, get it all customized the way you want. All right, so, and let me show you real quick what it looks like. Let me switch to this view here. So this is the certificate here, and on the front it says congratulations, and I'm going to show you how to put this text on here, show you how to write it with your pen, and this is how it cuts out. Here's the other side. Awesome, right? So that's what we're going to make today. All right, back to Cricut Design Space. All right, so we need to get our text on here. Text is actually, this is why I saved text. Text has been confusing for people, especially lately, because they made changes. So we're going to go over it together so you see exactly how to do text and some of the really cool features that are there. All right, so to add text to any project, you just tap on the text button right down here at the bottom, and that will bring up a box that says text. You can type right away. I can type hello world right here, right? So one of the cool things about this is that, forgive me just a second. I'm trying not to cough. All right, so you just can type right away. If, however, you're like, oh my gosh, what is this? I don't know what I'm doing, and you kind of click off somewhere. This happens to all of us. We get distracted, whatever. You can tap on it again to edit it again. And I'll bring up my keyboard so you can see, because a lot of times you're using a keyboard and don't have like a keyboard like this. And you can just type. So I can say, I don't know, hello, everyone. If I type it right, right? All right, and did you see that? So one of the really cool things about the text in the Cricut Design Space is now it does auto wrapping. If you want it, you have the control. So let's actually move this over to the side so we can just focus on this. So let me make it a little smaller. I want you to note this is not wrapped, right? It's just one line. And right here on the side, we have these handles. There's one here and there's one here. If we bring them in, it wraps. Is everything okay?
Was there a link covering icons?
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. What? How did you, so you guys didn't see the icons? Do I need to go backwards? How long has it been like that? Thank you, Greg. I appreciate it. Can someone let me know if how long I have? It looks like only a couple of minutes that I was covering my icons. Do I need to go back? Someone let me know. I don't remember anymore what I was talking. I mentioned the Actions menu, right? It's the Actions menu right here. I think that's the only thing I mentioned. Am I good to continue? I can go backwards. I think the only thing I did was Actions. You are good. Keep going. Thank you, Barb. I appreciate it. Okay. So text, right? So this on the thing side here, this will wrap your text. And I've been hearing a lot of people say, oh my gosh, I resize it and it does this. This isn't resizing my text. Okay, that's because of where you're trying to resize it. Okay, if instead you grab one of the corners, now you can resize it. Any of the corners, okay? So now we have some different handles on our text box. We have the ability to wrap with this one right here, and it'll wrap quite a bit. And we have the ability to resize with one of the corners, any of the corners. If you don't want your text to ever wrap and you just want to like resize it and you don't want the wrapping driving you nuts, you can turn it off. So to do that, you'll want to go to the the edit menu down here at the bottom, tap on alignment, and then right here at the bottom, it says wrap text. You can turn it off. That's also where you'll want to look if it's not wrapping, right? So you can just turn that off. And now, let's make this a little smaller. Now, well, it might actually turn it on if I use that middle handle. I don't actually know. It's off. Oh, nope, see, it is wrapping. So if you use that middle handle, it's gonna wrap for you. It will just turn wrap on for you. So let's go back and I'm curious now. Is the wrap been turned back on for us? It has, and that's because I used that middle handle. But now it's off. So now, if I select it, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit more. If you can't see your handles, you need to zoom in. Okay, that's something I've noticed. Now we can resize it without it wrapping. Okay, all right, so that is the text. So now let's put text on our certificate. Let's move this over here and let's change it. So to change it, you just tap on it. Let's bring up our keyboard so you can see the keyboard on the screen. And let's, oh, I'm still using my keyboard, so that meant it went away. All right, I'll use this keyboard if I have to. Oh, and I deleted it all. So now it's completely gone. So let's just start over again. Here we go. All right, so I tapped on text and now we have our text. So let's type our text, and it's gonna be really big, but it's gonna be congratulations. Let's make that smaller. To Jennifer Maker, and let's make it smaller so we can keep seeing what we're doing, for completing Cricut Kickoff. This is what I suggest you write for your certificate. You can, of course, write whatever you want. Surprise me. All right, so this is our text. Now, I want you to see how it kind of like there's no handles on it right now, right? We're just zoomed out too far. So we can wrap this. So you can actually wrap by the old way by just putting returns in whenever you wanted them. What I really think text wrap is really cool. So to wrap this, we need to just get in a little closer, and then we can grab that handle and we can wrap. And so let's just bring it in here so you can see what I'm doing. Oops, I just rotated. Let's do an undo. That happens. There we go. And do a little bit more. There we go. That looks awesome. So there's our text, and it's all wrapped. And let's put it onto our certificate. So to put it on our certificate, we need to position it where we want it to be, right? So we're going to put it onto this yellow card. So I'm going to resize it with the corner right here like this and get it to be about the right size. I'm just eyeballing it. I'm not, doing it in any exact way. When I design things, I don't usually use exact measurements, honestly. I look for what looks good, what feels good, that kind of thing. But it looks like it's 4 inches wide. All right, so we have some text on here. Now, we are not done. If we were to make it right now, and I can go ahead and show you what happens if we do this. I'm going to tap on the Make It button in the upper right corner so you can see. What we get is we get formats, all of them disjointed and disconnected. If you ever see this, this is what's going on. So we haven't done anything with our design. We've just stuck some text on there and that's it. We've got my signature floating out here in space, our text floating out here in space, the yellow card, the front of the certificate, and the blue card. So we are not done. So to go back to your canvas to fix things, you want to tap on this back button right here. There we go. All right, so there's a couple things we need to do. First of all, we need to decide if we want to cut our words or write our words. I want to write our words, so that means I need to change the operation of that layer, right? It's the text layer right? Let's bring up our layers panel again. You can see everything right now is set to basic cut, right? All basic cut. It tells you right here. It also will tell you if you go under the edit menu, it tells you right here under, under action, sorry. Nope, edit is right. Click on the yellow layer. What am I missing? Maybe it's under actions? I'm getting lost. Hang on a second. There it is. It tells you the operation. It's basic cut. All right. But I want to select our text layer and I want to change it to the pen. Okay. So to do that, I am going to go to Style, which is right here. It says, it's got an R on it. R stands for regular. That's like the default. I'm going to tap on the Style menu, and these are the options that I have for this font. Every font is different. This, by the way, is the default Cricut Sans font. I use this font a lot. It's free, and it comes in all of these different styles. So right now it's in regular. I can change it to be bold, but more importantly, I can change it to be a writing font. So I'm going to go ahead and change it like that. I don't have to use Cricut Sans. I can change the font entirely. Let's, also I have an extra space in there. That's going to drive me nuts. Let's delete that. There we go. All right, we can change the font if we want. We can have, there's lots of other writing fonts. To change a font, you tap on the font name menu down here, and you get this box. You can search them. You can filter. At the top, you'll see all the Cricut fonts. System fonts, which are fonts that are installed on your iPad, and then you can just see everything. I want to search for other writing fonts, and so I clicked on that filter menu, and I'm going to choose writing, and then go back, and it'll show me all fonts that have a writing style. Okay, so not all fonts have a writing style, and if you can change it anyways. You can still use your pen to write a font without a writing style. It just won't really look like writing. It'll look like weird bubble letters. So there's actually quite a few. Now note the little A next to the font. And if you see the A, that means it's part of Cricut Access. If you see a price, that means that there's a price to use it. As a Cricut Access subscriber, I have fonts that I have subscribed to and fonts that I purchased, and they will all show up here. But I'm going to point you to a free font. You're welcome to use Cricut Sans. I need to search for it. Let's show you how to search. So I'm going to find Cricut Alphabet. I don't know why that didn't come up for me. Maybe I'm being impatient. That happens. Greg says I'm impatient a lot because I am. It's not. So the search is not working right now. This happens. All right, it's fine. We can find it. There it is, Cricut Alphabet. All right, so we just select it and our text changes to it. So there it is. And I can, I'm going to fix that because it does not look good. So we'll want to fix our font. And importantly, if you changed your font, make sure you go back and change it to a writing font again. There we go. So this is what the Cricut Alphabet font looks like as a writing font. You'll notice that on a writing font, each stroke, and I'll see if we can zoom in. Oops, that's a rotate again. Sorry. Each of these is like a single line. So when we use our pen, it's going to look like writing. So that's why. So if you don't care about that, you can use anything. But I like that look. The G is supposed to be like that. It's part of the style, so that's just the way it works. All right, so I also want to call your attention to something else here. So, I mean, we have the writing font, and you might think, oh, hey, we're good to go now. If we do it again, let's click on Make It Again. We get a message that says this project is incompatible. If you ever see this, don't panic, okay? This is totally fine. It happens. And thankfully, Cricut Design Space will tell us how it's incompatible. So just, you can read this little message, but I'm going to show you how to figure it out. So just go ahead and tap OK. Now down here where it says layers, I want you to note that there's a little yellow exclamation point, which is telling us that there's a warning, and that's the problem. So if we tap on that, it'll tell us which layer has the issue, and it's the pen layer, the layer that I just changed. So let's hover over that, or tap on it, there we go, and it says not supported by Joy, pen incompatible, change pen selection. That's pretty easy. So if you're ever get that message, just go look and see what's going on. It doesn't have to be a guessing game. So let's tap on the pen layer to select it. And then we're going to come down here to right here, pen operation. We're going to tap on this and we're going to tap change, and we can pick a different color, whatever we want. All of the pens are represented up here. I actually have a black fine point pen, like the one, can you see this? I'm trying to show you in the camera. This is the kind that comes in with the Cricut Joy. So black fine point is perfect. So let's click apply. We should see that yellow box go away when I do that, and it does. So we have gotten rid of it. So you can see this, this will happen on all of the Cricuts, regardless of what you're using. If your project is too big, if you're trying to do something that's not compatible with it, if you've got the wrong color of pen, because the Cricut Joy pens and the Cricut Explore Maker pens are different. So they have like different identifiers. So all those sorts of things can happen. Okay. So we fixed that issue. So let's see what happens when we tap make it. So we still have the issue of everything being disconnected. So now we've got our text. It does look better, but it's still floating out there in the ether. Same with our signature. So we need to fix this. So let's go back and one moment, sorry. If I drink tea, I seem to avoid the coughing. Okay. So we need to attach our text to our base layer, because right now Cricut Design Space has no idea what we want to do with this text. It is an independent layer. We could stick it down here, we could stick it over here. It doesn't know. We have to tell it and give it directions on what to do with our text. The same is true of my signature right here, right? It's independent. It's not connected to anything. So we want to, oh, and also, do you see these pink lines? Do you see how cool this is? This, by the way, is Smart Guides. I want to make sure you know about this. So the Smart Guides are really cool. They will help you get things centered. So this is centered with the text here, and right, so you see how it's doing that? It will center with my text as I go through here. It's really cool. If it bugs you, on the other hand, you can actually turn it off by going to settings right down here in the bottom, and you can turn off Smart Guides. Okay. I like them though, I keep them on. So our text is awesome, but we haven't told the Cricut Design Space what to do with it. So we have these cool pen layers with no direction. So what we need to do is attach them to our base layer. So we need to attach everything on this one card that we've designed here together, so that when we cut it, it actually stays together. So this is really easy. You just drag a bounding box around the layers that you want. Confirm on the right that the layers that you want are selected. So we have oh, I see a problem right now. I see that I forgot to change my signature to pen also. So let's fix that right now. So there, I've selected it in the side right there. And so let's go to the edit menu and click on operation and change basic cut to pen, just like that. And click apply. Awesome, okay. Ooh, almost made a mistake. And that's okay. You know something? When we are learning or doing live demonstrations, mistakes totally happen. This is very normal. I hear a lot of people say I make things look easy. You don't really know what's going on in the background and how many mistakes I make. I try to keep mistakes out of my edited videos because it's confusing to follow, but honestly, that is very normal. Okay, so now we need to attach our pen layers to our base layer. We're just going to drag all around here to select all three of them like that. And you can see on the right that they're all selected. And then we come down to the actions menu, which we have open right now. It's still open, and we want to click that attach button that I told you about earlier. So let's click it like this. And now you'll see over in the layers panel that it says it's an attached set. So yay, awesome. So now let's see what happens when we click make it. Much better, right? So now we see our text on the card itself. And this is this is the front of it. And if we tap this one, This one was fine as it was. It was really this one. Now I want to mention a couple things while we're here. So the operation, like over on the side on the left here, it'll tell you what it's doing. So always check to confirm if you're planning to foil stuff or engrave stuff. Does it say that there? Did you forget to do it? Is something not right? It also let you choose how you're going to load it. So right now I'm going to use my mat, right? So I recommend, there is some smart cardstock out there. It is sticky back. You don't want to use that. If you got some with your Cricut, you're not going to use that for this project. So you're just going to use cardstock. So we're going to use a mat for that, but you can choose how you want your material to load. If you have really all of the Cricuts now let you to decide that. But the Joy and the Explorer 3 and the Maker 3 let you use smart materials without a mat if you want. And then you can also change your material size, because on the Joy there's 2 different mat sizes, but I'm using the small mat, so we're good there. And mirroring is for if you're doing iron-on vinyl. We're not doing that today, but if you are doing iron-on vinyl, you need to mirror it. And you always want to just double check both of your, all of your mats, right? Does everything look good? Yes, it's a basic cut, it's on mat, and I have the right material size, and I'm not mirroring it. So once everything looks good on your prepare screen, you are ready to tap the next button in the upper right corner right here. And that will take you to the make screen. And on the make screen, you can, you want to set your, choose your materials, okay? So let's see. I tend to use medium cardstock a lot, and it's under popular right here, and we want medium cardstock for this project. If you don't see it or whatever, you can tap on all materials right here, and this gives you all the things that you can cut. Now I'm on the Joy, so I can't cut as many things as I might be able to on, say, my Maker 3, but everything is here. And if ever you need to add a new material, do something special, just know that you can tweak all of these settings. So if I tap on settings right there, I have the ability to, let's say I go right into medium cardstock and look at its settings. Oops, I think I passed it. There we go. There it is. So it's set to use the fine point blade, which is correct, and I can change its pressure right here. And I can increase or decrease it, and I can change how many times it cuts. So if I want to cut it more than once, well, it's, for sometimes for thicker materials or intricate things, it's good to do it more than once. But typically you don't want to, but you can. This is what I want you to know. So you can access all of your custom material settings on the iOS app. So that's important. So I'll go back, and I'll go all the way back here. And we're just going to select a medium cardstock under cardstock, which is, why am I not seeing it? Insert card, glitter cardstock, deluxe paper, heavy cardstock. I don't see my medium cardstock here. Let's just close this since I know it's right here. I don't know. Maybe I just can't read today. Okay, I've selected medium cardstock. And then you can change the pressure. I like to change my pressure to extra. I just find that it gives me a better cut. You don't have to if you won't want to, but I sort of just do it by default these days. And then something else to note is that it says remember material settings here. If you tap this or enable it, then it won't keep asking you how you want to, your material settings for each mat. Now, if you're doing a complex project where you're using all sorts of different materials, then you don't want to enable that button so that you can tell your Cricut each layer and what it should be. But with this project, it's all cardstock, so we can go ahead and do that. And then since I'm using the Joy, it tells us what to do. It actually does that with all the Cricuts. So load the fine point blade. And oh, one more thing, actually. So over here on the side, we can choose which layer we want to do first. So I want to do this layer, actually, because the other one was selected. So if ever you want to start with a layer, you can actually select it, right? So it'll tell you what to do. So load the black pen into the clamp. So you can see the Cricut right here. Got my pen right here. Actually, I can switch my camera so you can see it bigger. So here is my pen that came with it. And this is the clamp, and this is on the Joy. It works the same basic way on all of the Cricuts. So you just put your pen in here, close the clamp, put your lid on the top so you don't lose your pen lid. All right, so the pen is in the clamp, and now we need to load material into the machine. All right, so we switch to my overhead view. Here we go. So I'm going to use the Cricut Joy mat, and the first layer is yellow. So I'm going to put on a yellow piece of cardstock. So it's pretty simple, but whenever you put any material on a mat, generally, this is the default, it goes in the upper left corner. Okay, so we put it right up here. I showed you this in Cricut Kickoff Lesson 1, but it's always good to have a refresher. Here we go. So it goes right up there. I like to make sure you press it down. You can use a brayer. I don't have one here with me, so you can just use your hands if you want. Make sure it's really well adhered to this mat. Your mat matters. It should be either a blue or a green mat. The Cricut Joy uses smaller ones. The Cricut Maker uses these, and Explorer uses these nice big ones. But you want it to be clean and sticky. Okay, if it's not, it's going to be hard to cut. What will happen is your cardstock will wiggle around as it's cutting, and you'll get poor cutting. Okay, so your mat matters. All right, and now we load our material into our machine. The Cricut Joy has like an auto load, so we just press it up against the rollers, and it just grabs a hold of it. It draws the mat in to make sure there's enough space behind it, and you have enough material, all that good stuff. There we go. And on the Cricut Joy, there's no buttons on the Cricut Joy. There's no buttons. There is a light up here that indicates that it's turned on, and that's it. So we actually, going back to the Cricut Joy, we actually start it by tapping this Go button down here at the bottom. If, however, you're using an Explorer Maker, you would load it, and then you would press the flashing button to begin cutting. But let's go ahead and tap Go, like this. And then we'll come back here and watch it draw and cut. So it's first going to draw. And it'll take a couple minutes to do this. I like that it tells us on the screen how it's doing. You can see there's a little pie thing, and as it progresses through, it'll let us know how it's doing, so that you know. Now, that said, the Cricut Joy and the iPad, well, really it's the iPad and the iPhone that matter here. They're using Bluetooth to connect to your Cricut, all the Cricuts. You really aren't, especially if you have a phone, do not walk away from your Cricut with your phone while it's working. If you do that, it will lose the connection. It'll stop working, and you'll get an error somewhere saying, hey, I lost a connection. You lost your connection to the Cricut. So you need to stay right there or leave your device there while you walk away. It's important. It's also important that you're staying within the right distance, right? So I try to keep my devices like right next to my Cricut when I'm cutting. 5 feet away is probably fine. Once you're like at 10 feet or more, that's going to get really dicey, right? So if you're having an issue with connections, make sure you're really nice and close to your Cricut and you're staying there, right? It's important. And you see how it's writing? So it's sort of writing, it's not writing the way we would, like, congratulations to Jennifer, like we would. It's doing it in the most efficient order, so it's doing it from one end to the other. So don't be surprised by that either. I think a lot of times we're like, why is it right like that? It's trying to do it as quickly as it can and most efficiently as it can. That's one of the cool things I think about the software, is that it does try to be as efficient as possible. So when you have a more complex project with lots of pieces, it will organize things into the mats for you into like the most efficient cutting way, right? So you're not having to say, okay, so I'm going to put 20 things on this mat or whatever, right? It's doing it for you. It does the math for you. It's pretty cool. If you get a phone call on your iPad or your phone, or a text on your iPad, whatever, it should be fine. It shouldn't be an issue because that's not using Bluetooth. So don't worry about phone calls or texts or anything like that. Also, Bluetooth connections are independent, right? So if I wanted to connect to my speaker right now and play some music, which I won't do, we would be okay. We could do that, right? What is trickier is connecting to one device, one machine from two different like mobile devices. So that the Bluetooth connection isn't so good at that. So if you're like having a Cricut party, you'll probably have to take turns connecting. Okay, so going back to Cricut Design Space, it tells us that it's finished and it wants us to install the blade into the clamp. So now with the Explorers and Makers, there's two clamps, but the Joy has one. So we just open up the clamp, take out the pen, put your cap back on, don't forget that part. Here is the blade, and we just drop that back in and close it, just like that. And we are ready to go. So make sure your blade is in there. You don't want to unload your mat or cancel anything. You just want to switch your pen to your blade. Again, on the Explorer Maker, you won't have to do this at all. It'll just go from the pen to the cutting. But we're on the Joy. So to begin, we just tap on the Go button again, and it will start cutting for us again. And this layer has 4 stars in the corners, and then it cuts out the outline. And it's a little bit smaller than that piece of paper is. I designed this project so it'll work on all the Cricuts, regardless of how small or big it is. There we go. All right, so if we go back to Cricut Design Space, it will tell us when it's done. Okay, it says unload. There's a button at the bottom, so we tap on that. And here is our project, and you can see it's cut and drawn. Doesn't that look awesome? Okay, so let's just move our iPad off to the side. Now, to remove your project from your mat, you want to flip your mat over onto your surface and peel your mat away from your project. This is the best way to avoid curling and tearing and wrinkling and all that sort of thing. It comes off just much easier. This is a very sticky mat. There we go. And if you have the little stars in the corners, they didn't pop out, you can usually just do it with your fingers like this, right? So there's the other star, but you can also use a weeding tool to just poke them out too, like that. So that's the front of our certificate. Now let's do the other one. So the Cricut has told us what the next layer is. We'll set that there. Probably don't need to see my screen, my iPad anymore. Now it wants us to do the blue layer. So let's get out our blue, and we can take off our little stars, and let's do the blue layer. So here I have pre-cut a piece of paper to fit on the mat. There we go. And just put it right into our Cricut. And the fine point blade is already in there, so we're good to go. And it grabs it, and it will start its cutting. And then we tap go, and it will begin cutting. And it's going to prepare it, and then it's going to cut it for us. Awesome. And one thing I want to note is that I know this is a lot of talking, but actually if I were to sit down and do this project, it would be very quick. But I'm trying to explain everything as I go. So don't be like, sorry, I'm trying not to cough. So don't let that like, oh my gosh, there's so much here. It actually is really, really simple. The Design Space app walks you through everything. I just know that there's little things that can get you tripped up, and that's what I want to point out today, so that you're not like, oh my gosh, there's all these things, what do I do? So it's actually really, really easy, especially the Cricut Joy. And I think it does a great job of cutting too. I love the Cricut Joy. It's got excellent cuts. I don't know why. There's something about the blade. It's particularly good. I've just noticed that. I mean, it's all the same blade, but the Joy does a great job of cutting. I know that it's a little bit different, like the the part that does the cutting, they re-engineered it so that it would be small and compact, and or maybe it's the blade, or maybe it's because I tend to use my maker more than my Joy. I don't really know what it is. I just know that the cuts are always really sharp. All right, it looks like we're about 75% done. And then we'll be done with our project. It's going to do the outline around it. All right, it is done and it is ready for us to unload. So it tells us to unload, so we tap the unload icon right here. There we go. And there is our front of our certificate. So again, we flip our mat over onto our surface. It doesn't matter whether it's a Joy mat or Maker mat or Explore mat or whatever. However, I do want you to note that this is, I actually designed this on purpose so that you can learn how to do a nice intricate cut. So it's not, so you just want to go slow as you're removing it from the mat. There's a lot of little bits here. If you need to, you can use something like a spatula and just sort of, so that you can kind of put something under them as you're taking it off. There we go. I think we've almost got all of it. There we go. So you'll have some stuff left on your mat usually. If it's sticky, that's usually how that works. And often it just kind of falls out like this. If it doesn't, you can use your weeding tool, as I mentioned, to poke little bits out like this. If you're having an issue, it's not cutting nice and clean like mine did, make sure your mat is clean. That's really the biggest thing. So you can see what a beautiful job it does. So we can get that to focus for us. There it is. Isn't that lovely? It really does a nice job. All right, so let's move all of our bits over here. And let me show you how to clean your mat. So here's all this stuff on your mat. You can sit here and peel it off little bits by bit. Yeah, you do that. Use a scraper. They come in different sizes. If you don't have one, you can just get one on plastic store loyalty card, and you just kind of drag it across like this, and all this stuff comes off. Super easy. Remember to put your plastic back onto your mat to protect it. There we go. So let's get all of our pieces, and we'll show you how to assemble this. It's nice and easy. So here's the front of the certificate. So we're going to flip it over. So let's see, it says I did it. I'm going to flip that over like this. This is the back, and it slips right into the corners right here like this. If for any reason it doesn't seem like it's fitting, that likely means that you resized it by accident when you first brought it in and were playing around with it. So you can just go back to your canvas and check. The yellow layer should be smaller than your blue layer, okay? And let's get this one in here, little bits here. Here we go. So here is the certificate. Congratulations to Jennifer Maker for completing Cricut Kickoff. And this is what it looks like on the other side. And what I'm hoping that each of you will do is you will make it, and you can use whatever name you want. You can use whatever text you want. Make it PG rated, please. And take a picture of it with your Cricut and share it with me over in my Cricut group. I love to see your pictures, okay? Share your stickers. Seriously, it makes my day to see you make things. And especially beginners, because I know what a struggle it can be to get your Cricut out of your box and use it, okay? I totally get that. Okay, so let me just wrap up, and then I'm going to take some questions. So let me just come back here, because I want to make sure I tell you about something. So we should still be on my iPad. Yes, indeed we are. So let's go back to Cricut Design Space. There's our project. By the way, don't forget to save it. To save your project, go up here to the diskette icon and tap on that. We can do Save As. I'm going to call this Cricut Kickoff Certificate. And I recommend that you save to the cloud. rather than to your iPad. Now, the difference is that the cloud is going to allow you to access it from whatever device you're using. So that's why I recommend the cloud. If, however, you tend to work without the internet, or you really are only ever going to use that one iPad, you could do Save to iPad. I just never ever do that because I want my designs to always be accessible everywhere. So I tap Save to the cloud and now it is saved. Here we go. Awesome. All right, so this has been my lesson. If you would like to learn more about Cricut Design Space for iOS, I just opened up enrollment for my popular Cricut Design Space course. It's called Cricut Kickoff. Let me go to that page for you. It is only open for enrollment for 1 week right now. If you want to learn about it, you go to design2shine.com. Lots of information there. I won't bore you with all of it right now, but this is my Cricut Design Space course, and it tells you everything you need to know about Cricut Design Space. You get to make all sorts of awesome projects. I will show you those because those are fun. You get to make a pop-up flower pot card, an iron-on t-shirt, wood sign, layered paper frames, flowers, faux leather things like earrings and bracelets, also custom shadow boxes, layered vinyl, mandalas, and print then cut stickers and tags. I even give you a way to do it on the Joy. But it's important that you know that enrollment is only open until Sunday, July 24th, and it's not going to open again until winter. So that's after Christmas. So you can learn all about it here at Design to Shine. We have lots of students, and it is a really fun class. Now, if you would like to, sorry, I'm going to cough again. If you have questions about Cricut Design Space on the iPhone or the iPad, please let me know. Leave your question below this video or ask over in our Cricut Crafters group at jennifermaker.com/CricutCrafters, where you can get help and guidance from hundreds of thousands of Cricut crafters just like you. And if you also want to learn how to use Design Space on desktop and laptop, because it is quite different, I have a lesson for that as well. Get links to more free classes over at CricutKickoff.com. And if you'd like to learn even more about Cricut Design Space, I invite you over to my blog at jennifermaker.com for hundreds of free Cricut tutorials and projects. I also have a helpful guide called the Cricut Coach Playbook. I think I've got it sitting down here. I do. It's right here. That contains dozens of cheat sheets for Design Space. This is a very popular guide that has been used by over 300,000 Cricut owners at the time of making this video, and they tell me they find it really helpful. I am working on an update for it right now, in fact. So if you'd like to learn more about the Cricut Coach Playbook and get a free page, go to CricutCoach.com. And like I said, I have free Cricut classes with Cricut Kickoff. And then I have classes, workshops, and courses over at MakerAcademy.com. Lots of cool stuff going on. So thank you so much for joining me for your Cricut Kickoff. I hope this has helped you get on the path to success and that you'll be making many more wonderful things with your cutting machine. And if you do, please share photos in my group. I love to see your creations. It really, really makes my heart happy to know that I've made a difference. Until next time, this is Jennifer Maker reminding you to craft a life you love. Okay, so I am more than happy to answer your questions. I do want to note that I have a class at 5 o'clock, which is in 30 minutes, so I can't talk for more than 10 minutes. Greg's already given me a time warning. So let's make sure that I didn't turn off my iPad when I did that. Let's see if it's still working because I closed it. Let's see. Good, awesome. I didn't mess it up. All right, so I have questions here. So it still says, are we able to transfer projects from laptop to iPad? If you save your projects in the cloud, you can just open them up on your desktop or your Android or whatever. So save all your projects to the cloud, and then when you go to your other device, let's say you get an iPad next year or a laptop next year or whatever, you just sign in with your Cricut ID, go to My Projects, and everything is right there. Kimberly says, so is Cricut Access a different app? Cricut Access is the subscription plan that's inside Design Space. but you don't have to have Cricut access to use Design Space. It's not a separate app. It's just once you have access, your account is has permissions to use the images and fonts that you'll see there rather than having to buy them. That's really all it is. All right, let's see. Gail says, how do you sign your name to print? So I designed that in illustration software. I designed it over in Adobe Illustrator. If you want to learn how to do that, I have a course on it. It's not open right now, but it'll be open in September, I think. And it's called Cut Above. So the way that it works is that I have a series of classes, and they start with simple things and they move to more complex things. So the simpler stuff is our workshops, Cricut Kickoff, and then we move on to Cricut College. And then if you want to learn more and have more control over what you design, you take Cut Above. And in Cut Above, I teach how to use Inkscape and Illustrator, and that's how you can do things like the signature. Okay. Amy says, is there a way to use the t-shirt template in Design Space when I'm on my iPhone? If you mean the templates that are available on desktop, no. Templates only work on the desktop version of Cricut Design Space, not on the iPad version. But there's no reason why you can't find a picture of a t-shirt, size it to fit, and then just change its operation from, basic cut or whatever it is to guide. And then you have a custom template for just your t-shirt. So you can make your own templates, and I do that all the time when I'm in Cricut Design Space. I even do it on my desktop because my idea of a template is different than Cricut, so I like to have more control over them. But you can change any layer to a guide, and then it becomes essentially a template. And so you can do that on the iPad or iPhone too. Wendy says, do you think it's easier to use a keyboard with the iPad? I do, yes. I like this one. I just bought it when I bought my iPad. I don't even know what it is. But yeah, I really like having this because then I don't have to do all the typing. And this in particular is really helpful. The ability to move my mouse instead of my fingers. Now, you still are, for zooming and stuff, you're going to be doing a combination of things, but I actually really like having the keyboard to do things. So, everyone is different, but specifically, I used the keyboard today so that you could see where my finger or my mouse was, because if it's just my finger, there's no indication on the screen. But when I have this little trackpad here, then you can see what I'm pointing at. So just so you know. Corona says, can you foil with iOS? That's a great question. I didn't see it. So here's the thing, is just now I'm thinking maybe you can't. So there's some things you cannot do on the iPhone, any of the mobile devices. So you can't do engraving. Maybe you can't do foiling either. I'm thinking that's it. And that takes a lot longer, and that's the reason, just so you know. Also the knife blade. So there's some things just take too long, and I might be not quite getting that right, what you can and can't do. But anything that takes a while to do is not an option on a mobile device because it's so easy for the Bluetooth connection to be interrupted. So that's why my personal preference is to use my laptop or my desktop computer with the USB cable. I don't like to even use Bluetooth. I don't really, it's fine for little things, but if I'm going to do a big project, I want the reliability of a USB cable and not the quirkiness of Bluetooth that just decides to suddenly go out for no reason. It has nothing to do with Cricut. It's just Bluetooth in general. I'll be listening to my speaker and it just decides to stop playing. I don't know why. It's just the technology. So some things are not going to be available on a mobile app. Right? So you can't use a knife blade. I think also engraving is not an option. So I think also foiling is not. Thank you, Karen. I appreciate that. Yeah, so foiling is not an option on sorry, trying to avoid the coughing. All right, so, okay. If you have more questions that I didn't answer during our presentation, just come to our group at jennifermaker.com/CricutCrafters. You're welcome to tag me. If I see your question, I'll answer it. I also have an amazing and awesome team who answers most of the questions, and they get to them faster than me. So you don't want to just wait for me. But please ask us. We're more than happy to help. We love to help. You can also just leave your question in this video. We come back through and look for questions. And we love to see you succeed. And I don't work for Cricut. I do this because I love to make things. So, and sometimes I sound like I'm a Cricut commercial, but this is really about making things and supporting one another in the Cricut community. So, all right. I need to prepare for my class at 5 o'clock. So if you also use a laptop or a desktop, you'll want to come back at 5 o'clock for that class. And I'm going to get out my Maker 3. We're going to cut on the Maker 3, and I'll be using my desktop. I have my laptop here, but I don't think I'll use that. I think I'll just use the desktop. But it doesn't matter. They work the same way, right? So it'll be, the class will be on YouTube and on my Facebook page, right? And if ever you have to go, but you want to watch these, all of the recordings are kept and we edit them out. So I'll be editing out all my coughs. We keep all of our videos over at CricutKickoff.com. Once you sign up, you get a link to all the lessons and you can watch and rewatch them anytime you want. So yeah, so thank you all so much for joining me, and thank you to my team for being here with me, passing me questions, making sure that everything worked okay. I really appreciate you. You guys are awesome. So, and by the way, don't forget about Cricut College. If you'd like to learn more, you can get all the details on that over at designtosshine.com. All right, so hopefully I'll see some of you at 5 o'clock in 24 minutes. Bye for now.